On November 2nd, 2024, I ranked the top 10 deadliest creatures in Jurassic World alive. The meta was home to some of the most prolific hybrids the game had ever seen. Titans that left ripples across the meta and community alike. And now, almost a year later, the meta has changed. Dozens of new creatures and hybrids have risen, but many have fallen just as fast. Few could withstand the test of time, and even fewer have earned their place among the elite. So today, we revisit the list to crown the top 16 creatures of the current meta, those powerful enough to stand tall above the rest. To keep this list both fair and interesting, the research crew examined the top 20 potential candidates, breaking down their critical weaknesses, defining strengths, overall performance, and long-term viability in the meta. Without further ado, let us begin with hybrid number 16, Rajadorixis. A hybrid that once stood as one of the meta's most reliable stallers, but now finds itself overshadowed by creatures that simply do its job a little bit better. One of the biggest reasons for its decline is the armor boosting meta around it. Rajadorixis has no real answer to any form of armor stacking, leaving it helpless against creatures like Spinotops, Titanotholus, and Mastodonsaurus. These creatures not only layer their armor to absurd levels, but also deliver massive nuke level hits that Raja simply cannot keep up with. Another factor, while not as devastating, is the growing presence of Tier 5 D-Rex in the arena. With more and more players unlocking the mutant, Raja can no longer rely on its combo of Strike into Null into Berserk, pushing its overall usefulness down yet again another notch. That said, however, Rajadorixis is still far from a lost cause. The hybrids still boast a surprising number of favorable interactions, most notably against Fukuitops, a fellow hybrid that has rapidly risen through the ranks. Thanks to the max attack boost that nearly every Raja player runs in ladder, combined with the fact that Fukui players rarely run max HP boosts, Raja can more consistently kill Fukuitops before it can even activate Cheater's Instinct, and this gives Raja a key matchup win that many hybrids of its class simply don't have. On top of that, its reactive ability remains a major asset, letting Raja repeatedly heal below 33% health and extend fights far longer than many expect. A simple tweak like giving its Berserk attack a pinning attribute would massively improve its performance against the armored titans that dominate today's meta. Ultimately, in a meta where the strongest creatures hit harder, survive longer, and stack defenses almost instantly, Raja simply lost the arms race. And for that reason, Rajadorixis stands as our number 16, the first entry to fall beneath the new order of the modern meta. Swooping in at number 15 is Nyctopteryx, our first pterosaur hybrid on the list. A creature that carved out a niche all on its own, the red-crested devil wing is the perfect example of utility and synergy trumping raw firepower. Nycto's biggest strength lies in the cleansing component of blinding impact and run, allowing it to swap in and out of dangerous matchups with minimal risk. But what really sets it apart is its own reactive ability. Similar to Raja, Nycto can heal during combat, though in this case the opponent must be bleeding for the effect to trigger. Thanks to its kit, however, it can reliably put those foes on a timer, giving it the opportunity to outlast, trade, or outright eliminate some of the meta's toughest tanks, including Titanotholus and Spinotops. This utility is what allows Nyctopteryx to shine as a niche PvP supplement, surpassing its counterpart Mutodon in almost every scenario, and while it does lack the brute strength to dominate head-to-head clashes, it doesn't need it if it's already enabling 3 out of the top 5. Nyctopteryx perfectly embodies how clever design and synergy can outweigh raw power, all while remaining fun to play, and with limited weaknesses and unmatched utility in its role, it will comfortably claim the 15th spot on our list. Dive bombing into the 14th spot is our next flyer, Geosternbergia. While its placement may surprise some, it comes with solid merit. Unlike its aerial counterpart Nyctopteryx, Geo relies almost entirely on head-to-head matchups, with the touch of clever swapping to save the day. This pterosaur can swap in on many of the meta's toughest threats, including Distortus Rex, Titanotholus, Spinotops, and dish out enough damage to wipe them clean from the board. Thanks to the cloaking component found in its swap-in, that is. Some might see the nerf to Geo's gnawing rampage going from a 2x to a 1.75x as a setback. The move still guarantees a critical hit, however, and players can allocate training points into critical damage for even higher output. Geo's main weaknesses lies in its Devour heal, which spreads too thin over multiple turns, often resulting in minimal actual recovery. A simple fix for this would be reducing the number of turns, which would make the healing a little bit more impactful. Despite this, Geosternbergia remains one of the most underrated pterosaur picks in the meta, showing why it dominates the skies and it secures the comfortable 14th spot on our list. Sliding into number 13 is none other than the young prince himself, Junior, proving once again that brute strength and sharp synergy can still hold their own in a meta flooded with towering threats. Junior continues to impress thanks to his unique blend of adaptability and raw staying power. With cautious retreat and parental encouragement at his disposal, he can recover tempo and keep pressure on opponents without relying too heavily on teammates. It's this seamless transition from defense to offense that sets him apart, especially against key meta monstrosities. That said, one of his more minor weaknesses lies in his low speed and predictability. If opponents can bait his swaps, Junior will find himself in serious trouble. But when handled well, that fortitude he's known for shines through. While he may not be the unstoppable wall of some higher tiered hybrids, Junior remains one of the more dependable creatures in the meta, balancing solo power with terrific team synergy. For his consistency, durability, and sheer reliability in the chaos of the current meta, Drake's favorite dinosaur secures the 13th spot on this list. Hybrid number 12 might come as a shock to some, but there is very good reason for its placement. The meta, along with recent adjustments from Ludia, has not been so kind to this armored dromaeosaur. Initially, a subtle health buff and full pin immunity gave it a noticeable edge. However, after about a month, a subsequent nerf to both its attack and armor hit far harder than expected, weakening its matchups against Titanotholus and Spinotops. No longer being able to tank that extra damage or output via its counterattack, Atromolistis saw its dominance dwindle. And, interestingly enough, this does mirror what happened to its unique parent, the Atrocomaxima. A small reduction in armor and health ultimately mutilated it from the meta, and now almost 4 years later, Atromolistis seems to be repeating history. To its credit, it can still dish out respectable damage and retain some bulk from Stunning Brace, just not to the same degree it once did. It is a shame to see what was once the deadliest creature just 6 months ago lose ground. The storm of the meta is unforgiving, and while Atromolistis held strong for a time, it couldn't withstand the winds, and for that reason, it'll make it to the 12th spot on our list. And while we're on the topic of raptors, hybrid number 11 is yet again another raptor. Atrocomaxima is a placement that shocked even the team and I, but upon further evaluation, we found that this raptor has more benefits than expected. First, the health on this thing is nuts. Boasting 6,000 HP at level 26 and 9,000 at 35 is comparable to some sauropods in the game. This is something we've never seen on a build like this, allowing it to soak up tremendous damage, further bolstered by a respectable amount of armor. Add Invincible Shattering Rampage into the pinch, and now it can cycle heavy damage while taking none in return, or at the very least, minimal. A combo that gives it serious staying power. On top of that, it comes equipped with Berserk Biting Rampage, letting it enter the arena and remove major threats from the board due to the priority found in its revenge. As if that weren't enough, Atromax also boasts some of the best resistances in the game. Its main weaknesses lie in Blooded Stall, which carries a delay, and the loss of Cautious Retreat from its parent does slightly hinder it. Thankfully, its counterattack carries Daze, which does soften these vulnerabilities. We expect this hybrid to have a short lifespan in the arena, but who knows, maybe the meta will be welcoming to revenge masters such as this one, and because it brings such an impressive set of tools to the table, we'll grant it number 11 on this list. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally entered the top 10, so sit back and get comfy because hybrid number 10 is a hybrid who, after receiving multiple buffs, finally got its time to shine. Indochicyon slashes its way to the 10th spot on today's list. This hybrid continues to impress. Its placement comes down to deceptively strong matchups, and with Illusion it can take care of a surprising number of the meta's deadliest threats. Paired with its tier 5 ability, which heals it while cloaked, it becomes a persistent nuisance for opponents. On top of that, Indochicyon can even hold its own against Becklerizsaurus, assuming that it doesn't carry its own tier 5 reactive. Indo will often come out on top. This hybrid has steadily grown stronger with each update, and if the trend continues, it could easily climb higher in the future rankings. Indochicyon is proof that sometimes simplicity in a kit is the most effective strategy. For its consistency, versatility, and sheer practicality, we proudly give it the 10th spot for today's list. Coming into the 9th spot is Sinraptor, an omega that has always teetered between hugely dominant and situationally niche, and the level 35 update finally tipped the scales in its favor, granting it the stats needed to tank blows it previously couldn't withstand. Its very presence has influenced the way many top-tier builds are constructed. At level 35, opponents now aim to build their Becklejaras and Rajadorixis with 11,000 or more HP to survive a potential critical hit. Otherwise, they'd fall roughly 75% of the time. That said, while the update improved its survivability, Sinraptor's health is still within reach of the game's deadliest revenge killers, leaving it vulnerable in certain scenarios. As both a devastating opening lead and an efficient revenge killer, Sinraptor can instantly dispatch top threats like Titanotholus. With its insane speed, improved resilience, and minimal exploitable weaknesses, this Jurassic speed demon solidly earns the 9th spot on our list. Another recent addition to this roster of monstrosities is hybrid number 8, Monkeyondactylus. These three little shitbags have made a surprising entry on this list, and it all comes down to one ability: Steel Vigor. This ability single-handedly carries Monkeyon to heights it otherwise couldn't, with Affliction allowing it to even bypass an opponent's rend resistance, which is already very prominent in this meta. Paired with Stunning Swarm, give it a free window to let it do damage with no consequence. As if that weren't enough, Monkeyon also comes equipped with Invincible Heal, letting it repeatedly swap in, regain health, and escape at will. This synergy makes it a nightmare for opponents and a tempting addition to any team. And honestly, we don't blame those who run it. Also, we didn't forget to mention its resistances. Immunity to stun, swap prevention, and distraction make it a formidable threat in nearly any matchup. Combined with solid base stats, this flock was practically designed to frustrate opponents. With immense synergy, minimal exploitable weaknesses, and ways to mitigate such, Monkeyondactylus more than earns its spot at number 8 on our list. The 7th creature on this list is arguably one of the scariest to come across in ladder. The breast-toothed lizard last made an appearance on the channel in Jurassic Face-Off, where it squared up against Becklerizsaurus in a slugfest. While it initially lost that matchup, Mastodonsaurus has staged a remarkable comeback, largely thanks to the level 35 update. The update allowed higher level caps and additional training points into speed, giving Masto a critical edge in killing opponents such as Becklejara. Combined with its resilient counter, this amphibian can trade blows with some of the arena's strongest contenders. Mastodonsaurus currently boasts one of the best win-to-loss ratios, defeating top threats including Spinotops, Fukuitops, and Titanotholus, with multiple viable builds, minimal exploitable weaknesses, and the ability to take down the meta's deadliest. Mastodonsaurus could have easily claimed an even higher spot. After this impressive resurgence, the Triassic Titan proves that sometimes Mother Nature is the most powerful force of them all. The Temnos Fondle firmly earned its place at number 7. Today's list has been loaded with surprises, and one of the biggest shockers is seeing Spinotops at number 6. Not because it suddenly fell off, but because 3 major shifts in the meta pushed it down. The first change came from the buff to Becklerizsaurus. Thanks to its newfound on-escape and health buff, Spinotops is easily punished for swapping. Staying in the fight is now often the only safe option, and if Spinotops does swap out, Becklerizz immediately gains a barrage of benefits that make the matchup exponentially harder to win. The second factor was the nerf to Spinotops itself. While it can adapt to the armor and health adjustments, the damage nerf was a serious blow and bigger than most people expected. Losing the ability to one-shot Becklejara is a feat that Spinotops previously excelled at. However, this significantly weakened its dominance. Despite all of this, Spinotops remains one of the heaviest hitters in the game, boasting the highest meta yield of any current creature on this list so far. Its oppressive pressure, damage cycling, and oppressive control options still keep it firmly in the top ranks. But with the competition around it growing stronger and with Spinotops itself being directly toned down, it ultimately settles into a well-earned but slightly humbled number 6. The next addition to this list is one that many have asked for, and for this spot, we reserved it for the Chomper Distortus Rex. We covered this mutant extensively in its own video a few months ago, but to keep things brief, Distortus Rex possesses one of the strongest raw stat lines in the entire game, combining massive health, crushing attack, and surprisingly high speed, thanks to its counter, to form a bruiser that dominates nearly every head-to-head exchange. But what truly elevates this monstrosity into a class of its own is the Tier 5 reactive ability. When active, Distortus becomes virtually untouchable to any attack below a certain damage threshold, all while returning devastating blows of its own. With this ability factored in, D-Rex could have comfortably creeped into top 2 to 3 territory, and in the right hands it can rival just about any apex predator in the current meta. And the threat is only growing. As more players finally unlock and build their Tier 5 versions, D-Rex is rapidly becoming one of the most oppressive forces the meta has ever seen. And with overwhelming stats, relentless consistency, and a reactive that warps every matchup, the Immortal Demon claims a well-deserved number 5 on our list, and one that we here at the research team are excited to use and bring content on soon enough. We mentioned Beckleriz's buffs earlier, and now it's time to fully address the elephant in the room, because taking number 4 is none other than Becklerizsaurus. A hybrid Lydia apparently decided wasn't getting enough chaos or seeing usage, so they went ahead and made it our problem. With just 2 changes, a modest 200 extra health and the addition of Anger on Escape, Lydia effectively patched every major weakness this hybrid ever had, and the result means one of the most oppressive starters in the game. Before this patch, Becklerizz was mainly used as a revenge killer or a late game closer. However, now it's an elite opener capable of shredding through matchups it had no business winning before, and Lydia basically hit us with, "It do be like that." Once it hits tier 4, it has the power to even kill Becklejara in a head-to-head scenario, which is an absolutely insane feat for any creature, let alone one that used to struggle with consistency. Pair that with its reactive ability, which lets it plow through more hybrids and matchups, and suddenly, Becklerizsaurus has gone from solid but balanced hybrid to arena menace overnight. Honestly, we don't really even have any complaints. The devs fixed all its problems in one patch, and now everyone else has to deal with the consequences. And because of this newfound dominance and near flawless matchup spread, Becklerizsaurus claws its way into number 4 on today's list. Quaking the platform at number 3 is the titular titan, Titanotholus. This sauropod has been making waves across every top team. See, this hybrid was already decently strong, but what makes this even more of a pain to deal with was the fact that my team and I decided to F around, and boy did we sure find out. The best way to dumb it down is speed. The story goes something, we wanted to test a goofy build for fun, something, it ended up backfiring, and now we gotta deal with the freeloaders who saw that potential. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm trying to say, my team and I wanted to run a speedy build for Titano, which was pretty good. Good enough to the point where the damn thing became practically unkillable as a revenge killer. Then players eventually caught on, and now they're running the same build because why not? Am I right or am I right? Combine that absurd speed potential with monstrous stat line, consistent output, and brutal one-shot toolkits, and you get the most dominant forces this game has ever seen. And we expect this behemoth to linger around for the foreseeable future, which is why Titano claims number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we've officially entered the top 2 of this list, and claiming that second place crown is none other than Fukuitops. And honestly, it earns that spot just because the damn thing doesn't ever die. Its greatest strength is its absurd ability to stall out an entire match until it finds the perfect opening to unleash Cheater's Instinct or Ripping Impact. The crocodile mimicking false Hadrosaur stands out for both its resilience and the way its entire kit flows together almost too well. With the recent update to Excited Counter, both Fukuitops and its parent the Dinomimus gain the ability to snag an extra turn of speed and damage increase. And once Cheater's Instinct activates, Fukuitops can deploy its most lethal asset, On Escape Fierce Rampage, the move that pretty much solidified its spot at number 2. Every time it's hit, Excited Counter kicks in, setting up ideal moments to execute its force swap strategy. Add Ripping Impact into the mix, which is a high-powered move usable on its first and every other turn, and Fukuitops becomes a machine. All this, in turn, allows the hybrid to stack Devour Heals, Bleeds, and heavy damage in rapid succession. Oh, and did I forget to mention, Cheater's Instinct basically makes this thing immortal for 2 turns. Before release, everyone expected this hybrid to be good, somewhere in the top 10. Just not this good. Its components have also shown up in multiple events, making it surprisingly easy to build. All these advantages lets our Hadrosaurid hybrid rip the second spot with ease. Hybrid number 1. The hybrid we've hinted at, praised, and circled back to all video. The single strongest dinosaur in the entire game, Becklejara. This theropod is a role-shifting menace, capable of flipping almost any matchup in its favor. I get asked all the time whether my level 30 Beckle can hold its own in the shores, and the answer is a very confident yes. Even with the level disadvantage, BJ performs exceptionally well, with virtually no real weaknesses. Now, to pump the brakes just a bit on the glaze, yes, Becklejara can rely on RNG more often than most players would prefer. But thanks to its overwhelming damage output and surprisingly sturdy defenses, that RNG dependency rarely becomes a true problem. Most of the time. And with all that considered, Becklejara rightfully claims the crown as Jurassic World Alive's deadliest creature. These, ladies and gents, have been the top 16 entries, the absolute cream of the crop in today's meta. Each one has proven its worth through sheer dominance, deadliness, consistency, and impact across all levels of play. And well, from the storm-swept skies of Sorna to the tempestuous cliffs of Isle St. Hubert, hybrids and creatures from all over are migrating to find better territories, eventually bringing them into conflict with each other so where only one can make it out alive. And there's only one way to truly find out who would win this fight. Activate the face-off.